Remember, you're at the movies, right? You just spent 20 bucks on a ticket, and now you're standing there staring at the popcorn menu like it's gonna reveal the meaning of life. You see the price. Small popcorn, $7. Medium popcorn, $8. Large popcorn, $8.50. And you're like, wait, hold up. The medium's only a dollar more than the small, but the large? That's literally just 50 cents more than the medium. I mean, come on, for 50 cents, I might as well go large. That's just smart, right? So you order the large without assessing the need. You walk away feeling like you just beat the system, like you made the most logical, rational choice possible. But here's where it gets weird. You didn't actually choose the large popcorn. You were steered into it. And that split-second decision you barely even noticed, it's happening to you hundreds of times a year. It's quietly changing how much you spend, what you buy, and honestly, even how you see yourself. This isn't about having weak willpower. It's not about being dumb. And real talk, it's not even about popcorn. This is about a psychological trick so powerful that billion-dollar companies use it to manipulate entire markets. It's called the decoy effect. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Trust me. The illusion of choice. So here's what most of us believe. We think we make decisions by comparing value, right? Like we look at the options, weigh the pros and cons, maybe overthink it for a minute, and then pick the best one. But that's not how your brain actually works. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't like making absolute judgments. It's terrible at them, actually. What it loves is comparisons. We don't ask ourselves, is this worth it? We ask, is this better than that? And that tiny difference, that's where the manipulation lives. Because when choices are designed the right way, the comparison itself does all the heavy lifting. You think you're thinking, but really, the decision's already been made for you. Let me show you how sneaky this gets. The subscription trap you've definitely fallen into. All right, you're browsing a news site. Maybe it's the New York Times, maybe it's The Economist. Doesn't matter. They hit you with three plans. Digital only, $10 a month. Print only, $10 a month. Print plus digital, $11 a month. Now, who's choosing print only? Nobody. It literally makes 0 sense. But the second that option shows up, the combo deal feels like a no-brainer. You're sitting there like, why wouldn't I pay $1 more? That's basically free. So boom, you pick the third option. Now, here's the part nobody tells you. That second option, it was never meant to be chosen. It exists for one reason only, to make the third option feel like the obvious move. You didn't compare all three options fairly. You compared two similar ones, and the winner was obvious. That's the decoy effect, baby. The rule you never agreed to. Here's how it works. The decoy effect introduces an option that is clearly worse than one of the other options, but similar enough that the comparison feels easy. The decoy isn't competing with everything. It only exists to make one specific option look like the winner. And once your brain spots that dominating option, it stops thinking. It feels like clarity. It feels like you're being smart. But really, it's just cognitive relief. Your brain's like, cool, we found the answer. We're done here. This isn't new. It's actually pretty old. To really understand how deep this goes, we gotta leave the world of Instagram ads and targeted marketing behind for a second. Let's go back to the 1980s. Not Silicon Valley, not Wall Street. A psychology lab. Researchers ran this super simple experiment. They asked people to choose between two products. Option A was cheaper but lower quality. Option B was more expensive but better quality. People split pretty evenly. Makes sense, right? Then the researchers added a third option. Option C. It was almost identical to option B, but worse in one key way. Same price, less value. And suddenly, Option B exploded in popularity. Nothing about option B changed, only the context did. That third option, the decoy, completely rewired how people saw their choices. And this effect, it's been replicated thousands of times since. Why your brain falls for it every single time. Your brain hates complexity. Like, hates it. When there's too many variables, too many what ifs, your brain starts looking for shortcuts. The decoy gives you one. It creates what's called a local comparison instead of a global one. Instead of asking which option actually fits my needs, your brain asks which option is clearly better than this one. And once it finds the answer, done. Decision made, brain moves on. That feeling of confidence you get, that's the trap. How this shows up in your actual life. Let's get real for a second. Streaming services. Basic plan, ads, lower quality. Premium plan, no ads, 4K, all the good stuff. Mid plan, almost premium, same price, but missing a few features. Nobody picks the mid plan. It's awkward, it's weird. It exists to push you toward premium. Cars. Base model, fine, but like stripped down. Mid-trim, weirdly priced, missing features. Premium trim suddenly feels worth it. The middle trim? That's your decoy. Laptops. 256GB storage. Okay. 512GB storage, oddly priced, doesn't feel like enough of an upgrade. 1TB storage, only a bit more. You weren't upsold by specs. You were nudged by contrast. You didn't buy the product, you bought the story. Here's where it gets kinda dark. The decoy effect doesn't just change what you buy, it changes why you buy. Because once the best option is highlighted, it becomes part of your identity. You're not someone who buys the cheapest thing. You're someone who makes smart choices. And that feels good, right? It feels responsible, efficient, adult, which makes you way less likely to question it later. The real cost of the decoy effect isn't the extra $2 or $10 here and there. It's the pattern. Once your brain learns to default to best value, companies just redefine what best looks like. And over time, your baseline creeps up. You stop choosing what you need. You start choosing what dominates the menu. The housing example that ruins budgets. You're house hunting. You see 3 homes. House A, affordable, smaller. House B, expensive, upgraded, nicer. House C, slightly cheaper than B, but clearly worse. House C feels pointless. House B feels like the obvious choice. So you stretch your budget. Not because you wanted luxury, but because House B dominated House C in your mind. Fast forward a few years, you're working longer hours. Not because you love the house, but because the comparison trapped you into it. The decoy effect is even stronger online. In physical stores, you can walk away. Online, the comparison is forced on you. Pricing tables, highlighted buttons, most popular tags. These aren't helpful suggestions. They're choice architecture. Design environments that guide your behavior. You're not choosing freely. You're choosing inside a funnel. The moment you actually lose autonomy, here's the scariest part. Once you accept the comparison frame, once you start playing the game they set up, you stop asking your own questions. You don't ask, do I even need this? You ask, which one is better? And that's when the seller wins. How to defend yourself without going full tinfoil hat. Look, you can't avoid the decoy effect, but you can neutralize it. Rule 1. Remove the decoy. When you're faced with 3 options, delete one. Literally ignore it. Compare only 2. If the clarity disappears, the clarity was fake. Rule 2. Decide before you look. Before you even see the prices, ask yourself, Do I actually need? Features, budget, use case. Then see which option matches that, not which one dominates. Rule 3. Watch the middle option. If one option feels completely useless, ask yourself why it exists. Useless options are rarely accidents. They're psychological levers. The bigger truth. The decoy effect reveals something kind of uncomfortable about all of us. We don't choose based on value. We choose based on relative safety, the option that feels hardest to regret. And marketers, they know this. They're not selling products, they're selling relief from doubt. Final thought. Next time you're choosing between plans, packages, or upgrades, and one option just feels obviously correct, pause. Ask yourself, would I still choose this if the other option didn't exist? If the answer is no, that wasn't your choice. That was the decoy doing its job. So don't just choose the best option. Choose the one you actually need. Let's end the video. If you want to see a video on the topic, is AI a bubble? Then click on the video flashing on the screen right now. See you there. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.